What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so I'm just turning this in just so I can get my daily. I've already done them, so I just, rotate tunes. So I posted the the scorecard for running the content, and let me go ahead and go to my layer real quick to show you guys. I don't know why my mouse is. But I kind of want to just show this, my real CR because I was in normal flashback. I'm going to explain why the meta players don't get it. So in this raid, I was actually visiting family in Ohio, so I actually took my portable. So I wasn't even on my PC. I have a portable, handheld that allows me to, just do my dailies and, whatever. So I did the raids on this tune because I'd use alts to farm my materials. And my true CR is 478 on my DPS, right? Now on my heal, I'm just at 483. So I'm able to queue the normal version of the new raids. So I did the flashback, but they had a healer, so I went DPS. Now at this point, I'm 478. I am the lowest CR player in the party, hands down. And what's even crazier is my SP on this tune is only at 272. Now I still need to allocate those points over. But as you can see, nothing spectacular here, except I still beat out every other player with the exception of one who had all of their OP items, still leveling their new ones, but they were like 510 and they had elite gear on. I have no elite gear with the exception of this OP item, which is basically 34, but no elite gear. I don't even have an affinity unlocked. And even if I did, it's by healing affinity. So no affinity bonuses. Now this was the thing. I didn't have pages even on this build. Didn't even have pages on this build. Heck, on nature I don't even run Starfire. I run poison. I use Ivy. So yeah, so I use Ivy on this tune, and I still came in a second place, beating out everybody else in DPS. Now, why is that relevant to the meta players? Because it has everything to do with proper rotation, right? So proper rotation is significant. I love when and I love it when people are like, well, that's not a lot of damage. The top damage DPS, anytime you go into a raid, your scorecard reflects the damage the mobs and the bosses have. So I have no respect for anybody trolling who doesn't understand that one principle. So when you troll and you literally don't know that the raid's level cap and difficulty determine the overall damage per scorecard. That's why you're never going to hit, 100 mil doing stabilizer. It's always the same every day, right? It's always the same because that instance has a set amount of damage you can do overall, period. And that's with any content in this game. So to come out second, being the lowest, is significant. That is very significant. That's why I can't stand the toxic community. That's why I can't. I literally cannot take the toxic community serious in this game. I can't. I literally can't. When we talk about rotation, a lot of people are going to reference clipping. Clipping's important, okay? No one's going to ever say that clipping is it doesn't have its place in this game. But the question of it is, what abilities clip, and will that hinder your overall DPS? you know so I'm not very competitive. I've stated this. I'm pretty this Like I said, this was my fun game. I always top charts, and I do more than exceptionally well, because I understand that you can't build everybody the same, and you really have to take advantage of the strengths and weaknesses to each power set. And you can build them similar, with because the gear progression is the same, but when it comes to their kits, it's different. So a lot of people are sucking up on, bending a knee and you know sucking up to water power set because of the revamp, which is good. But I was doing well with water prior to the revamp, anyways, um, because I just knew it. So I was like, well, I don't get it, but okay, whatever. But I've always said this in any MMOs, AoEs and dots are your best friends. And when it comes to DPSing, I have DPS in MMOs. I mainly usually play support roles, but I've always helped DPS out with their rotations, setups, and everything else. So when it comes down to DPS and we take a look at loadouts, dots and AoEs have durated amount of time. For example, here my Briar is only a 3 second. Right, it's only 3 seconds. So I'm just going to illustrate this really quick. So when I hit with Briar, it's still applying the dot damage. I'm not doing anything but my hold on, let me get rid of my sidekick. Okay, just so you can kind of get a... Okay, so the dots will still tick even as the refresh is up. So dots in AoE effects are significant. Now, when it comes to knowing the difference, an AoE is a ground effect that will deal damage over time but does not apply to said target, right? For example, spores is a dot, right? So when I throw spores, it applies a dot. Okay? Now, when I go ahead and use Vortex here, I'm trying to find just some place I can put this. It's not going to deal damage if the target's not standing in it. It just doesn't. Right? It will not deal damage. Direct damage, like this one, like my spam, this one actually has a dot. I forgot about that. This one actually has a damage over time, I believe. Just usually only applies one tick, And nature is a very heavy in damage over time dots. So when I apply any dot, it will go ahead and layer all of this DPS. So all of these numbers start ticking down. Boom, 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 boom. So all of a sudden, you're getting massive amounts of damage being stacked on your targets, your target or targets, if they're pulled together. So when you know that and you know how DPS works, you can go ahead and maximize your efficiency. So me coming into second place with said tune, and I just showed you my gear, my CR, all of that, and coming out on second place against a 510 with elite gear and OP items max, with the exception of the new ones, is significant. That is relevant. So once again, this is why I do not respect the meta. I don't. I don't respect the meta at all. Now this is my layout here. Now, if I wanted to, for example, so let's say I want to go ahead and I want to get rid of Sinestro's corrupted power ring. I'm going to have to go over here to drop it. And let's say I want to increase my critical output, right? Hypothetically, let's say I'm going to increase critical output. So first off, we're going to take a look at our stat values, right? So my critical ability attack damage is 106%. My critical ability attack chance is at 41%. Now I can raise the value of that, right? That's not a problem. All I have to do is come in here and use my transformation card. Okay. So when I take a look at the values, I'm up 20% by my attack chance, and it would even get more with whatever supercharge I'm using. Now I like Rampage, but I don't typically put all of this critical damage on said tune because I know that the base damage is going to diminish if I'm stacking critical values too high. And if there's any other outside effects, like if another DPS is wearing the Heart of Isis, for example, that buff will extend to all of us and those critical values will jump. Right? And at some point in time, I want to increase what? My base damage. So if, in that case, if my critical values exceed over 50%, I need to increase the value of my base damage at some point. So if I come in here and let's say I decide to go with the Venom, this is going to increase my base damage by 20%, thus negating the negative effect associated with the transformation card. Okay, so in that essence, I can just go ahead, slot the Neo, increase my critical damage output, and then on top of it, do a significant more amount of damage to my critical value, with my crits. Let's just build this up real quick. Just building this up. This isn't my rotation, but I'm just doing whatever to build it up. Okay, now, once this is up, I'm going to show you guys the critical damage of my spammable, for example. So let me go ahead and get out of combat. We'll reset it really quick. Okay, coming over here. I'm coming back. Now, this is not a parse. I hate when people call target dummies parsers. Okay, now my critical is 11, right? 15. All right. Now when I go ahead and I hit my Neo Venom, oh, I got I too. So look at that jump. 20, 22, 21. And the critical values are going to increase. Now if I hit this, so now you're seeing it drop down because the effects have worn off. That is relevant to DPS output in comparison to gear, to your CR level and your SP how much SP you have. Understanding your DPS configuration and rotation and how the numbers are associated to your damage output. So no, I do not have respect for the meta players. I have zero. I have zero respect for the meta. None. You came in, you're trolling the wrong player. I will pick your ass apart every flipping day. I will decimate you in ways that you have never been decimated ever. Like I said, this was my fun game. I tried to get away from being elite a long time ago. But I have people who always pretend to be something because, oh my god, I have max allies, I have max arts, I have elite gear, so I'm awesome. Are you? Are you really? When you didn't even understand that swapping arts after 2 was losing DPS because your associated arts give stat values. So you get a percentage of stats associated. That affects procs. That affects damage output overall. But you didn't know that. So when you were swapping more than 2, you lost my respect. When you stack SP, you don't get my respect because you don't understand diminishing marginal returns. When you act like you know something, but you don't, you do not get my respect. This is why companies used to pull me in to their games, because I understood all of this and I would test these things for them. Who are you? And I love the viewer who said, oh, you only get 10 views per average, yet that little reel did over 1,000 in one day. Give it, meta players, you suck. You cannot count. And to any player who wants to be good, stop watching the trash. They might be skilled, knowledgeable, they are not. Have a nice day.